And it's always a great pleasure to come your way on the marketplace. Welcome back. The emergence of the coronavirus in China is having a negative impact on the country's tourism potential. Several airlines have cut down on flight schedules, while others have totally cancelled flights into the region. Despite the scare, however, the Chinese embassy in Ghana says China will emerge out of the woods in no time. The embassy has released a footage courtesy CNC. Meanwhile, following the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus, there are still concerns the epidemic will have dire consequences on China's economy and eventually impact global supply chains and also lead to a slowdown in world economic growth. China's GDP alone accounts for around 16% of the global market and contributes over 30% to world economic growth. So what is the real impact of the novel coronavirus on China? Spokesperson of the Chinese embassy in Ghana, Dr. Zhu Zuihan, has been speaking with my colleague Sandra Esinam Apenu.
I believe our economy fundamentals that support China's long-term growth will remain unchanged, and we are capable of minimizing the epidemic's impact on our economy. You see, recently the IMF and World Bank speak highly on the China's economy, and China's efforts to contain the outbreak. So we are confident we have the ability to win the battle, and our economy will not, be reduced sharply by the coronavirus, I think.
Okay, so let's talk about the Ghana-China trade relations.
Okay.
Yes, a lot of Ghanaians travel to China for businesses, and I know some will still come to you. But looking at the past, let's say since the outbreak of the coronavirus and now, has the number dwindled? Has it come down compared to previous months when people were seeking visa to go to China?
I just talked with my colleague in the visa office a few days ago. I think during these days, the people who come to the embassy to apply for the visa has reduced, but not that much. People still have confidence to China's, the control and to the China's economy. So still many people come to the visa office to apply for visa, and for the visa policy, we haven't changed anything there. We just add some hand wash, you see, at the counter of the visa office, just it.
So it means that you've not shut your doors to people seeking visas to go to China, but you put in measures to ensure that.
The place
but
is
again,
secure.
the concern will be that if you issue visa to somebody here in Ghana and a person gets to China, movements cannot be restricted, and so you're not too sure where the person goes or not. So instead of curtailing the situation, are we not likely, by issuing more visas to people, sending people out there who could be exposed to contracting the virus?
That's the policy of our visa office. I'm not so sure whether they will issue more, but I think the people are still going to China. That reflects something, reflects the confidence and the motivation of the people who want to go. Yes, and the airlines, according to my knowledge, the Emirates, they still have flights to Beijing, and the Ethiopian airlines, some major airlines, they still are flying to Beijing, to China from Accra. So I think the road is still there, the way is still there, and our visa office visa policy has not been changed. So people have still get the chance to go.
Has it affected China's revenue from Ghana in any way? Because yes, you get more people.
It must have some impact on our trade relations. You see, in 2018, the trade volume is about 7.2 billion. It's a large number. But for the first season, I think the trade relations will be impacted by the coronavirus issue. But I don't think it will impact so much because people are still going.
Okay, finally, before we go, I mean, this is a huge, I won't say dent on China now in terms of trade, because oil prices are coming down, because they are the largest importer of oil, for instance. Airlines are cutting down on trips to China and all that. In all this, how do you hope to come out of this whole issue successfully?
So that's why we hold this interview today, because we'd like to introduce the public, the international community, more knowledge of the situation of our battle with the coronavirus. We want to calm down everyone. We want to calm down the situation because we want everyone to react on a scientific, based on a scientific and rational fundament based on this way. So people should not overreact, I think, especially during this tough time, because the containing the outbreak is not just China's issue. It is an issue of international community. So we should shake hands, we should work together to contain the outbreak.
Let's move away from health now. To enhance economic empowerment of the physically challenged, MTN Momo has provided disability-friendly kiosks, mobile phones, and 4,000 cedis cash to some persons with disability as a business startup. According to the general manager of MTN Mobile Money, Eli Hini, this will further help drive government's financial inclusion agenda.
According to the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, the disabled population in Ghana is estimated about 1/5 of the country's population, being people with disabilities or emotional disability. MTN Ghana is giving away a disability-friendly kiosk, mobile phone, and 400 Ghana cedis cash to some persons with disabilities to enable them start their own businesses as mobile money agents. Speaking at the presentation ceremony in Accra, the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Bafo Ewa, urged businesses to equally employ people with disabilities. He said government has shown the way by employing people with disabilities at the various toll booths in the country.
The national employment policy sees persons with disability as persons who cannot compete at the same level with the able persons. And therefore, we urge all employers to look at them and give them some special dispensation. I do know for a fact that as a policy, 50% of persons manning the toll booths are persons with disability. I haven't been personally to all toll booths in the country, but at least the one that I pass by all the time, I really can attest to the fact that persons with disabilities have been engaged and are working there.
The CEO of Mobile Money Service, Elihini, noted the gesture will help drive the financial inclusion agenda of the country.
We sort of looked at a project that is sustainable. So we thought the agent business would be sustainable because it's a business that you can continue to do and grow. And so once we can support them with the seed money, then they themselves can build capital if they are disciplined. We're also doing some project with Agric. And for the Agric project, we've started something with the cocoa farmers, which is very advanced now. We've also commenced some work with the poultry farmers in the Bronga halfway area.
Some beneficiaries said this initiative will help them become financially independent. They called on other organizations to adopt this initiative.
Mr. President, I want to assure you that tonight I will sleep. And I'll beg for permission to be late a little bit tomorrow morning.
Looking down upon you because you're not working and all that. And I think this is a great one, and I will urge other private sectors to also look at what MTN has done.
This project, according to Mr. Hine, is also a way of helping people to acquaint themselves with the processes of mobile money. Alberta BCU's report for Joy Business.
It's live on the marketplace. We're taking a short break here. We'll be right back with more news. Thanks for staying. Welcome back. Now, the Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana has cautioned government against plans to ban the importation of overaged and salvaged vehicles. Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu recently announced a proposal to pass a bill that bans the importation of these cars to help reduce road accidents. Responding to this announcement, President of the Automobile Dealers Union of Ghana, Eric Kweku-Boateng, says a ban contravenes sections of the automobile policy which gives room for 10-year-old vehicles and also salvaged vehicles. He's warned of dire consequences should the ban be effected.
We are not going to sit down and fold our arms. Should come and collapse our business. So what we know is car from 1 year to 10 years can import. And then the salvage, a car which is maybe slight accidental. If I can't say it's accidental, it's a slight use or slight slash. You can, the person can buy if it's bumper, if it's bonnet, if it's whatever, and the person decides to buy those things, it's allowed. But if you say they are going to ban a second-hand vehicles, what do you mean? So on Monday we are going to have a press conference to tell Honorable Mensah that it should come back again. Let the public understand that it's not that they are going to ban a second-hand vehicles, but a car from 11 years, over-age cars, is going to ban. Demonstration, no. The country, I don't think they will get enough peace to rest. We'll fight to the end. So I don't think we will get there because I'm part of the committee. Then if it's done, then they didn't regard the committee as we, the second-hand dealers, we represented. That is not what we agreed on. But what we agreed is that car from 1 year, 10 years can import. But now you are coming to tell us they are going to ban those cars. No. They should come again. And I don't think Parliament will sit on it that they are going to ban a second-hand vehicles. No. We are not going to sit down for them to dictate to us. The next step we are going to take maybe from Monday is that we want our brother, our senior officer, which is Honorable Mensah, to do is that he should come out and apologize on because the documents which has been published to the public, it states that car from 1 to 10 years is not a ban. That is what we want to hear from him. He should come out and explain it well. But from 11 years upwards, we accept that. And then after the press conference, we express ourselves to the Ghanaians what the automobile dealers is coming to do to help the automobile industry. For instance, anybody at all can import a car. If we're in your office, you just buy a car from America, Canada, whatever, ship it, whether the car is stolen, whether the car is bounded vehicle, you just import it and go to the port and clear your car, no any regulator. Now the Automobile Dealers Union is coming to look after it and then issue a dealership certificate to every dealer. If you have a dealership certificate, then you have an entitled to import a car to this country.
Now, finance ministers and central bank governors in West Africa have begun another round of meetings in Sierra Leone over the possible introduction of the single currency, the ECO. George Wafe has more on this gathering.
The ministers and the central bank governors will in the next 2 days, that is from this morning to Friday, be deliberating on several issues. Key among them is the region's preparedness for the introduction of the single common currency, that is the ECO. We understand that the larger economies in the English-speaking bloc, that is Ghana and Nigeria, may raise issues on the difficulty in going ahead and issue the currency this year as planned. There will also be formally raising concerns over the decision by the French-speaking countries in the West African region to go ahead and change the CFA franc to the ECO without the blessings of the whole ECOWAS region. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, at a recent engagement with journalists, noted that going ahead to introduce the ECO this year might be difficult. This is due to the fact that several structures that should be in place before the issuance of the common currency are yet to be established. But in all these, the political leaders, or let's say the respective presidents in the West African countries, may have the final say on the introduction of the ECO. This is because there will be an ECOWAS Heads of State meeting after the gathering by the finance ministers and central bank governors meeting. But will they ignore all these economic issues and go ahead with the issuance of the currency? One can talk about the current fight over which country should have the right to host the central bank for the ECOWAS region, that is Ghana or Nigeria. Again, which country is going to use its international reserves to back the ECO? And what about the convergence criteria? Should all member countries in the English-speaking bloc meet all these targets before the currency is issued? There may be one may say that the 2020 deadline could elude us, bringing the number of times that the currency issuance have been postponed to more than 6 times since the year 2000.
Now, it's barely a month into this year's Cosmos Innovation Center Agri-Tech Challenge, and the competition is already heating up. 125 young persons who are all committed to becoming successful in this year's competition were in the week taken through a launch and learn event to help shape up their business ideas in the agricultural value chain. Agribusiness startups from previous competitions were on hand to also guide the young entrepreneurs. Here's a wrap of the day 1 of this year's Launch and Learn series.
Get into the field, get to know the companies that you're going to see.
These young entrepreneurs sharing their experience in running a business were once at the receiving end. They were eager to learn a lot about the field of agriculture and how to solve the steaming problems there. Now fully fledged entrepreneurs, they are here to groom a new crop of agriculture enthusiasts. As part of the Lunch and Learn program series of the KIC Agri-Tech Challenge, the former participants did not only share the experiences, but the concepts behind the businesses. Winning team from the 2015 edition of the competition, Chocho Tractor, were among the past teams that made it to the Lunch and Learn. Chief Operating Officer Emmanuel Ansam Profi had a word for the 2020 cohort.
What is key for me or for them is having to do an in-depth of the problems. Problems of agriculture or agri-tech or agribusiness, we all know from beginning. From our primary school, what are the challenges in agriculture? Lack of road, and those ones. Now, it is now time that they delve in deeper and know that, okay, with this, what is the critical mass? How many people are affected by this problem? And if I'm solving it, what are the challenges that I'm going to be facing? How am I going to make money from it? Because at the end of the day, your business survives on ability to be able to sustain yourself.
Within the space of 10 months, these young entrepreneurs will be taking through a series of key business skills, which according to the Cosmos Innovation Center, will build the understanding on how to use technology and innovation to solve some of the toughest challenges in Ghana's agricultural sector. Public Affairs Manager of Blue Skies, Alistair Jimate, also spoke to the Agri-Techies on new innovations in the agriculture sector. He said participants should look out for emerging trends as they develop and build their business ideas.
There are a lot of businesses we used to know some 10, 20 years ago that have disappeared from the surface of the earth. And so it's very important for young people, entrepreneurs who are looking into the future to identify some of these trends so that they move along with it. In the agriculture sector, it's no exception. Now there are a lot of machinery, there are a lot of technology, there are a lot of processes that are minimizing labor and human input into so many activities, and it is important that we realize some of these challenges so that as we project into the future, we don't become obsolete within the shortest possible time.
Some agri-techies of the 2020 cohort spoke to Joy Business.
Picking from their experiences and all that, I know for certain when I do get myself into the market, because next week we are doing that, we'll be going for the market survey and all that. When I do get myself there, I need to look out for opportunities. Whatever business ideas I have, there's a possibility that someone out there also has it. So I need to weigh it, see what else I can do differently and how I can make mine stand out from the other.
We were taught to be open-minded, and that doesn't only apply to what we would be gaining here, but it's something which is needed everywhere. When you step out somewhere, there are a lot of people who can add value to your life. So when you are open-minded, it gives you the opportunity to learn from
various fields.
The participants will from February 15 embark on the first market research tour of selected parts of the country, which will deepen the understanding of the agribusiness value chain aimed at shaping their business ideas. For Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
Now, the 2020 Population and Housing Census, originally scheduled for March this year, has been postponed to June this year. The change in date follows observations from the completed field census mapping exercise, as well as the redesigning of technological interventions required for complete coverage, enhanced accuracy, and timely release of the census results. Let's hear from Government Statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Inim.
Ghana Statistical Service, in consultation with the National Steering Committee for the 2020 Population and Housing Census, has rescheduled the 2020 Population and Housing Census from March 2020 to the month of June 2020. Specifically, we're going to start the listing of structures in Ghana on 15th of June 2020, and this exercise will span for a 2-week period. What this means is that we're going to have the census 9th occurring on 28th of June 2020. What we mean by the census 9th is that the data collection that is going to precede the listing exercise would have to make reference to a particular date, and that reference date will be 28th of June 2020.
And that's it for the marketplace today. There'll be more business when you log on to our website, joyonline.com/business. Remember, we're still celebrating 25 years of media excellence. Thank you very much for watching. Good afternoon.